Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday in quarantine. This is weird not being in class with you guys, but I'm excited to be able to give you guys this yoga class from my home. How cool is it that we live in a time where this is even possible? So before we get started, let me just say this is going to be a very chill class. I'm going to give you lots of modifications. You don't need props, but I always say that props are a wonderful thing to have. And if you don't have yoga blocks on hand at home, that's okay. You have lots of other things. You might want to just look for something that has the same shape and is sturdy so that you can put body weight on it. So I have a couple of games that I was able to find that are similar shape to yoga blocks. And 2 is better than 1, but 1 is better than none, okay? If you don't have a rectangular box-ish game at home, you can always use rolls of toilet paper. Those are some pretty amazing currency right now. And hopefully you've got the wrapped kind so that you don't get them dirty on your floor, but these are equal in weight. You can stack them if you need to, so lots of options there. Any blanket will do, does not have to be a yoga blanket. We use this underneath our knees, right, when we're in tabletop. And we also use it as a bolster. This is a really good thing if you don't have a yoga bolster. They're not exactly cheap. This is a really good alternative. You just roll it up, you sit on it, and this gives your hips an angle so that it takes some pressure off your hips. If you have tight hips or maybe even issues in your lower back, this is a really good option. Okay, you can always use a pillow too for Shavasana. And then lastly, a strap is a good thing. You could use a scarf. You could use an exercise band. I know a lot of us have these at home. You could use anything that's pretty long and is going to allow you to pull in, right? So that's what you need for props. Go ahead and pause this video, go ahead and get those, and I'll meet you back here at the mat. Okay, so you've grabbed all your props, you've grabbed your mat, and you're ready to go. I have dropped a Spotify playlist in the comments. You can go ahead and play that during this set, or you can put on your own music. Doesn't matter. Or you can do yoga without any music. That's totally fine too. So go ahead and sit up nice and tall on your yoga blankets, or maybe you're sitting on the floor, that's okay too. Wherever you are, really focus on grounding down. We need some grounding right now more than ever. So really relax down into those sit bones. Draw the core, the belly button, up into the spine. It's a gentle motion though. We're not doing crunches, not yet anyway. So go ahead and engage the core. Elongating through the spine, let the crown be an extension of the spine. Let the shoulders fall down away from the ears. Begin to relax the muscles of the face. Let that tongue be heavy in the mouth. And maybe let the eyes close, or find a drishti gaze. Now I like to say, do as much yoga as you possibly can with your eyes closed, because this really allows you to go into your body, right? It allows you to focus on the breath and the movement and not on what's going on around you. This really means nothing in the yoga world, right? So you're sitting up nice and straight, muscles relaxed, belly button in, Eyes closed. Hands can rest in the lap or on tops of the thighs. And begin to come to your breath. So we're doing our 3-part yogic breath. Inhaling deeply to a count of 3. Holding at the top. Exhaling nice and slowly to a count of 3 or maybe even 4. Seeing if you can make those exhales even longer. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, pause. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continuing like that on your own for a few rounds of breath. If it's in your practice, maybe you try that Ujjayi breath, where on the exhale you constrict the back of the throat and find that oceanic sound. And just beginning to notice what there is to notice. How do you feel right now that you've had a few rounds of breath? Are you starting to relax a little bit more? Where can you let go of in your body? What can you soften? Wherever your hands are, just find a few gentle wrist rolls while you're here. Reversing the direction when you're ready. And then replacing your hands wherever they were. Inhale to find length. On the exhale, let that right ear come down to right shoulder. I'm mirroring you guys out there. So just to that first point of resistance, right? We're not straining, just taking it to that place where we start to feel something. Maybe finding some yes nods, some no nods while we're here. Exhale, rolling the chin down to the chest through center. And then taking left ear to left shoulder. Same thing on this side, just hanging out. And then maybe finding those yes and no nods. Exhale the chin back down to the chest, pausing here. See if you can sit up nice and tall. Let those shoulders come down away from the ears. And then maybe, if it's in your practice, you find one hand on top of the head, gently encouraging that chin down a little further. Deepening that stretch through the neck and the upper back. Exhale, releasing that hand back down and taking the head back up through center. And then slowly making our way to hands and knees just for a moment. Maybe taking that blanket off to the side or putting it underneath your knees. Finding those knees toward the edges of the mat. So knees are wide, big toes together, hands directly underneath the shoulders. On an exhale, sit back down over the heels and find your child's pose here. Letting that forehead come all the way down and extending those fingertips to the top of your mat. Just breathing here, feeling that belly expand between the thighs, honoring that breath. On your next exhale, walking those hands over to the right corner of the mat, deepening that stretch through the left arm, the left side of the body. Inhale through center, walk those hands over to the left corner of the mat. Trying to keep those hips down evenly here. Inhale, coming back through center, maybe finding some prayer hands, and then reaching those hands for the back of the heart. Exhale to lower those hands back down and then pressing up to tabletop. So again, you want to find those hands directly underneath the shoulders and the knees are directly underneath the hips. Drawing that belly button up and in and finding a nice flat back here. You're looking out maybe 6 inches in front of your hands so that that neck is nice and flat as well. Just find your tabletop here. And then pressing all 10 finger pads into your mat. Inhaling, allowing the belly to reach toward the floor. Straight arms here, opening up through the heart, through the throat. Exhale, round the spine up to the ceiling, tucking the chin, tucking the tailbone. Inhale, letting that belly droop into cow. Exhale, round the spine up into cat. Nice and slow, let your breath guide this movement. Doing this at your own pace. Finding one more round and then taking the knees wide once more, big toes together, exhale back into child's pose. Letting that chest come as far down as it can. Letting the third eye connect down to the mat. Just breathing here. Maybe rolling your wrists while you're here, finding some figure eights with the hands. Stretching into the fingers. When that feels complete, making our way back up to tabletop. Finding those hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Letting those elbow creases really shine forward. Drawing that navel up and in, nice flat back here. So from here in tabletop, on your next exhale, go ahead and extend that left leg back behind you. Take a look. Is it extending from the hip? It should be nice and straight behind you. Go ahead and point and flex the foot. Shifting the weight into that left hand, maybe if it's in your practice, you extend the right arm, letting that right thumb point up toward the ceiling and finding length here from fingertip to toes. You can stay right here. This is enough of a workout. We're building some heat. Or on your next exhale, you can find right elbow to left knee. Rounding through the spine, drawing the core in. Inhale to extend. Exhale, draw in. One more time, inhale, extend, really find length here, pressing that floor away. Exhale, take it down. Maybe take the hips side to side here. Find your breath. We're not here to burn calories this morning, we're here to release stress. And boy, do we ever need that right now, right? Good, meeting back in tabletop when you're ready. Take a deep inhale here. On the exhale, extending that right leg back behind you. Pointing and flexing the foot. Making sure it's nice and straight, hips are square to the ground. And then shifting the weight into that right hand, maybe you extend that left arm. Left thumb pointing up. Option to stay here, this is great. Or on your exhale, finding elbow to knee, rounding through the spine. Inhale to extend. Exhale to draw in. Inhale to extend. One more time, draw it in. Inhale, extend. Exhale, take it down. Sitting back on those heels here, taking it up. Just roll those wrists out. Maybe even interlace the fingers here and find some figure eights with the hands. Good. Extending those hands out to the front of the room. Take the arms up toward the ceiling. Palms are facing up, drawing that navel up and in. On an exhale, taking it over to the right. Inhale up through center. Exhale over to the left. Good. Inhale through center. Exhale, take it down. All right. So making our way back to tabletop here. Go ahead and curl the toes underneath. Drawing the navel up and in, on an exhale, we'll begin to lift the hips, making our way into downward facing dog. So shifting back, we're not lowering the heels just yet. Okay, we're drawing that navel up and in. Hips are really reaching up toward the ceiling here, right? So we're not really in a plank. We're pressing the earth away from us, hips lifting up toward the ceiling, lowering one heel and bending opposite knee, beginning to walk that dog out, inviting the calves and the hamstrings to the party. Good. When that feels complete, inviting both heels to come all the way down. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just stay here. That's okay. You have a couple of options. You can take that rolled up blanket that we had in the beginning, and you can put that underneath your heels. That's helpful for a lot of people. Or you can even roll up the base of your mat here. You don't quite get the height that way, but I suppose you could. Anyway, all right. So we're in downward facing dog. Again, the core is pulled inward. The hips are reaching up and we're pressing the floor away from us. Ribs are reaching for the tops of the thighs. Letting that head hang here, just let it be loose. And find your breath.
Good. On your next exhale, slowly begin to walk the feet to the hands. Feet are still hip-width distance apart. There's a micro bend in the knees here. Maybe you grab opposite elbows while you're here, swaying side to side, finding your ragdoll. Or maybe you find stillness. You have the option to use your block. I'm going to use the toilet paper for you guys. You can stack them here. So bring the floor up to you. That's an option. If you can't reach the floor, make it work for you. You don't have to look like these people that are on all over Facebook and Instagram. Not all of our bodies are built that way. All right, so we're in forward fold. Micro bend in the knees, head is hanging. We're making space in that cervical spine. Big inhale. And on your next exhale, slowly begin to roll it up.
Rolling up to mountain pose. So just take a moment here. Rolling from the balls of the feet to the heels. Further working out those calf muscles, but also working on balance, right? And then when you're ready, start to root down through the feet. Feet are still hip-width distance apart. And you're imagining that you have roots growing from all four corners of your feet. Those roots are growing down past your floorboards, past the dirt beneath your house, all the way down, growing, growing, growing deep until they reach the core of the earth, okay? Maybe close the eyes while you're here, finding your breath. Continuing to engage that core, palms, elbow creases shining forward while you're here in this mountain pose. The inner thighs are energetically coming in toward the midline of the body. Shoulders are rolling down and back away from the ears, so we're opening up through the heart here. On an inhale, let those arms come up, gentle sun salutation here, palms face away. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale up halfway, we're gonna pause here. This is one of the best poses right here, is halfway lift, right? So, your hands are on your shins or the tops of your thighs, and you're in a 90-degree angle. You're looking down at the floor so that the neck is neutral, drawing the navel up and in, and you're really extending that tailbone to the back of the room. Nice stretch being felt here in the hamstrings and the glutes. We need this so much whenever we do jazzercise or any type of aerobics. I mean, we really need it for anybody, but... All right, on the exhale, floating all the way back down. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Take it all the way up. Press those palms together at the top. Exhale, hands to heart center. Just take a moment here to breathe. Maybe press those thumbs into the sternum and feel the beat of the heart. We are alive, we are well, we are grateful to be here, right? Exhaling, hands down by your side, one gentle flow just like that. Inhale, arms overhead, palms face away. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhale up halfway with a flat back, draw that navel in, stick the tailbone out. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, arms come up overhead, pressing palms together. Exhale, hands to heart center. Good, we're gonna go through some gentle standing poses while we're here. So stepping to the top of your mat, if you're not already there, go ahead and find your center, finding your feet hip-width distance apart. Shifting the weight into that right foot. On an exhale, big step back with that left foot. Immediately squaring the hips off to the front of the room. So that back foot, your left foot, is at a 45-degree angle. We're making our way into warrior one, and we're making sure that we have lots of space between both feet. We don't want to be on a tightrope, right? Because then we don't have balance. We're all over the place here. We want to make sure we have a nice, solid foundation. So letting those feet come out to the edges of the mat. Again, back foot is at a 45-degree angle, as long as that feels okay on your knee. It might not, in which case, maybe you do point your toes straight. Maybe you come up onto the ball of the foot. This is your practice, so you do what feels good for your body, okay? So wherever your legs are, we're squaring the hips off to the front of the room. Inhale those arms up overhead. Exhale, bend deeply into that right knee. Inhale to find length through the arms, open up through the heart. We're hanging out here for one more round of breath. On your next exhale, reach those arms behind you, interlace the fingers, bringing the shoulder blades together. Open up through the heart. So we've got a baby back bend here. Exhale, shift the torso forward for humble warrior. Now, we're not dumping on this thigh, right? We're still lifted, we're still engaging the core. Energetically, those inner thighs are coming toward the midline of the body, and we're smiling. You're loving it? It's wonderful. We're not here for very much longer. Really reach those arms behind you. Exhale, take the hands down to frame that front foot, lifting the back heel, and then make that left heel all the way down to the floor. Roll out that hip flexor. You've heard me say it in class a lot of the time. Oh, by the way, go ahead and use your blocks if you need to while you're here. But you've heard me say this in class, we hold a lot of trauma in our hip flexors. A lot of fear, anger. So we really need to be mindful of this space in our body and release that tension whenever possible. I mean, yoga releases tension all through your body all the time, but your psoas, your hip flexors, really warrant some extra attention. All right, so you're rolling out your hip flexor here. If you're on your blocks, you can stay here, or you can bring your hands to the floor and then come into a modified split here. So straightening through this right leg, letting those right toes come up to the ceiling, pushing those hips back behind you. Draw the navel in. Again, maybe come up to the blocks here. And just breathe. Exhale, replacing that right foot back. And then curling the left toes under, lifting that left knee. Planting the hands into the mat. Exhale, send that right leg back to meet the left, shifting over into plank. Just hang out here for a minute, pressing all 10 finger pads into the earth, drawing that navel up and in, and then coming down to the knees. Keeping those elbows in close to the body as we slowly lower all the way down. Inhale, roll the shoulder blades back, coming up into cobra. Just a baby cobra here. Curling the toes under. Exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. Breathing here.
On your next exhale, walking those feet up. So we're gonna do all that on the other side. Inhaling, arms up overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhaling up halfway, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reversing swan dive, arms come up overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pausing to reflect. Softening where you can soften. Letting go where you can let go. Hands come down to your sides. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive to forward fold. Inhaling up halfway, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, pressing palms together. Exhale, hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. All right, shifting the weight into that left foot this time. Exhale, big step back with the right. One more time, finding that nice solid foundation. Right foot's at a 45-degree angle. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, bending into that left knee. Squaring those hips off to the front of the room. Drawing that navel in. Opening up through the chest, lifting through the arms. Breathing here. One more round of breath, maybe a baby back bend. Exhale, reaching those arms behind you. Open up through the heart, reaching those hands back toward the ground. And then exhale, humble warrior. Take it over. Again, not collapsing on that front thigh. We're still lifted here, still engaged. Still breathing. Good, one more breath. Exhale, take those hands down, lifting onto the ball of the right foot. Take that right knee all the way down. Option to use your blocks here, that's what they're there for. Rolling out that right hip flexor. It feels so good to move, right? These are weird times, and I don't know about you, but my movements have been so different. I can get caught up in the fact that I don't like it. They're different than what I normally do, but I'm also trying to find the gratitude in it. It's shocking our bodies, it's shocking our routine, and it's helping us feel grateful for so much. So, something to keep in mind, right? All right, so straightening that left leg, letting those left toes come up. Use your blocks here if that feels like too much of a strain on that hamstring. Sticking the glutes out back behind you, lifting through the heart and the chest. Breathing here. Good. Exhale, replace that left foot, plant into the hands, lifting the right knee. Left foot reaches back to meet the right. Okay, I'm going to show you how to chaturanga. We don't go through this very often in class. So you've shifted over into plank. You have a nice straight body. You're in a push-up position. I like to keep my legs zipped up. I feel like it gives me a little more control. So, rather than coming down like you would in a push-up, you're going to roll over onto your toes. You're going to come down halfway and then kick onto the tops of your feet, straightening through the arms, dipping the hips, and then on your exhale, come back into a downward facing dog. Breathing here. Exhale, stepping the feet toward the hands. And then bending into the knees here, we're going to tuck and curl. So you're lifting the heels up. And maybe you use your blocks here, that's totally okay, right? Rather than just sitting onto our calves, we are lifted and we're rounding through the spine. Just hang out here for one more breath. So the hands are planted into your blocks or to the ground. We're lifted off of the calves. So we're engaging our glutes here. We're engaging our inner thighs. And we're rounding through the spine. One more breath. And exhale to come down to a seat. All right. So we did a little bit of work. Just get adjusted. Maybe you bring your blanket back and sit up on top of your bolster. We're going to do some seated stretches real quick. So starting in easy pose. Just find your center. We don't come back to home base enough. It's okay to find pause. So just come back to home base. And then bringing that right hand down to your side, maybe it's just the fingertips, reaching that left arm up. Find length here. So you're letting that right shoulder come down, but lifting up through the left arm. On an exhale, rainbow, that left arm up and over, pressing into that right palm. So rather than being at an angle here, you're opening up through the heart, through the chest. Breathe here. Inhale, pressing back up to center, letting that left arm come down. Head comes over to the left shoulder and walking those right fingertips out. Breathing into that space in the neck. Good, drawing that right hand in, keeping that left hand where it is. Inhale, right arm overhead this time. So left shoulder coming down, reaching with that right arm. Continuing to draw that belly button in. Exhale, pressing into that left palm. Gentle rainbow over with the right arm. Trying to keep those sits bones down equally. Inhale to come back up to center. Let the right arm come down. Head comes over to right shoulder. Walk it out with those left fingertips. Exhale to bring it in. And then finding the soles of the feet together for bound angle, Baddha Konasana. Just butterfly those knees out to the side. Now, if this is hard for you, if your knees are up here and you're like, ugh, go ahead and find your blocks. Maybe these toilet paper rolls won't cut it for you. Maybe you've got to get your Cards Against Humanity game or whatever you found. That's okay. You can put pillows underneath the knees. Make this comfortable for you. You should never be straining in yoga. There's a difference between challenging and straining, right? All right, so the soles of the feet are together, the knees are out to the sides. We're sitting up nice and tall. We're rooted through both sits bones equally. Grabbing onto those ankles or shins with a flat back, drawing that core in toward the belly button. On an exhale, pulling the heart forward. It's a micro movement. Maybe you've only come forward 2 or 3 inches here. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Enjoying that stretch into the hips and the groin. Inhaling to back out.
Exhale, take it forward. So playing with this, flowing in and out of it, letting the breath guide you. Good. Using those hands to help the knees together. Exhale, extend the legs out long. Let those toes point up to the ceiling. Just give them a good wiggle. All right, we're going to stretch into our ankles. This is called Namaste Toes. So inhale, root down through your sits bones, draw your core in. On the exhale, try to fold those toes together like prayer hands. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale, Namaste Toes. This should feel nice in the ankles. Inhale to come back. Exhale, prayer. Hold them here. This should feel good. If it doesn't, don't do it. Good. Exhale, come back to center. Walking those hands with as flat of a back as possible. Walking those hands toward the toes. This is a good place to use your strap. So if you know you can only reach your shins, then grab onto something, anything that'll allow you to pull yourself forward here. So we're looking again for that edge, that first point of resistance. We're not straining anywhere. If it feels like too much, even if it doesn't feel like too much, it's always good to back out on the inhale and use your exhale to try to go deeper. And just flow in and out of it. You don't have to hold it. You can play with your edge. That's my favorite part of yoga. There are no rules. I can listen to my body and I can discover something new every time I come to the mat. When you found that sweet spot, maybe you do want to hold it here. Breathing into those spaces, making room. Good. Exhale to release that strap off to the side. Got a bit of a mess here, but you know what? That's kind of how I am. All right, so replacing the feet onto the floor. There's a nice bend in the knees. You're going to extend those arms out in front of you, drawing that navel in. Exhale, slowly roll it down, one vertebra at a time. And then walking those feet out to the edges of the mat, we're going to do some windshield wipers. So exhale, letting the knees fall over to the right. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the left. Taking it side to side at your own pace here. The next time the knees come up through center, heel toeing those feet back into hip width distance. Finding that right foot on top of the left knee, right knee hanging out to the side here. This is a great stretch for a lot of people, and maybe this is where you want to stay. Or maybe you reach through this space, interlacing those fingers behind that left knee. And then exhaling to draw the legs in toward the body. This is reclined pigeon or reclined figure four. It's one of my favorite stretches. Exhale to release that left foot down and then the right. And then take it to the other side. I'm going to switch the angle here for you. So left foot on top of right knee,
option to stay right here or reach through that space. Interlace fingers behind that right knee. Exhale, drawing those legs in. Just to that first point of resistance. I can't stress that enough, you guys. We get caught up in ego in our yoga classes, and we try to match the person next to us or match the instructor. And you know what? You're not the person next to you. You're not the instructor. That person's already taken. You're you, right? So you do you. All right. Exhale to release the right foot down and then the left. And then one more time, we're going to find our bound angle, our Baddha Konasana, but this time we're laying down, right? So soles of the feet come together, knees are wide, our legs are making a diamond shape here. And then you can play with the distance of your heels toward your bottom, right? So maybe it doesn't feel good to have them all the way up here. Maybe you extend them a little further. That's okay. Wherever you are, just find one hand on the heart, the other on the belly, and come back to the breath. Feeling the rise and the fall of the chest and that belly. Really trying to send all that oxygen down deep into the gut. This right here, you guys, is so healing. This will keep you well. Just coming back to the breath. If you can set an alarm on your watch or your phone to just come back to the breath 3 times a day, I promise you, you are doing yourself a huge service. If you can do it more, of course. But okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of options here for our Shavasana. If you don't have a wall nearby, then you can just begin to kick your legs out to the corners here. Let the arms melt down to the sides and just start to release. If you have a wall nearby, oh, there goes my toothpaste. You'll remove everything off to the side, and you're going to come up as close to the wall. You're going to, like you're taking shelter here, right? So come up as close to the wall as you can. Begin to come down, Begin to come down to this elbow that's on the outside of the body, right? And then kick the legs up. So your goal is to get your bottom and your legs completely flush with the wall. If they don't reach, that's okay. Honestly, the best part of this pose is getting all that blood flow back to the gut. This is one of the most restorative poses. It's called legs up the wall. This is one of the most restorative poses there is. And if you can do this for 5 minutes a day, again, awesome. So wherever you are, whether you're in regular Shavasana or you have your legs up the wall, begin to let go. Come back to your regular pattern of breathing. Release all the muscle away from the bone. Letting go of everything that we've talked about. Try to clear the mind. Thoughts will come, that's okay, that's what the mind does. Just see if you can let those thoughts float by like clouds. If your first inclination is to get up and turn this video off, you're done, then you need this the most. Shavasana is the reason for the yoga. This is where we get down into our parasympathetic nervous system and we heal. So wherever you are, let go as we make our way into our final resting pose, Shavasana. Bringing your attention back to your body, back to the room, finding a little wiggle in the toes, the hands, the feet, the wrists. Maybe bringing those arms overhead and finding one more morning stretch. If your legs are up the wall, letting the knees come into the body. Wherever you are, rolling over to your side, pausing in fetal position. Making a pillow with your bicep. And finding in this moment some gratitude for the part of yourself that took time out for just you for a yoga practice. And this is the part where I usually say, in extending that gratitude outward to the other people in the room. So I'm just going to say, extending that gratitude outward to the other people in this world for being here in this time and space that you're here and creating worlds and memories together. When you're ready, pressing up nice and slowly to a comfortable seated position. Finding those hands at heart center. I am so grateful for every single one of you. I'm grateful for this world, this life. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me on this earth, this little yoga time. The light within me honors and acknowledges the light within each and every one of you. Namaste.